Hello, everyone. Welcome to Half-Cooked Ideas, a series of talks about thoughts you are unlikely to hear elsewhere. They will take you through the genesis of the Betweenness Model. It also contains an explanation for the origins of doubt and uncertainty, and it will introduce you to the language and convention, tampering, and meddling effects. Don't worry if you don't understand what I'm talking about. They will be explained in other talks. Enjoy, and I hope my philosophy is of value. So let's check where we stand. We finished the first segment, which is the introductory segment. The following talk falls under the second segment, which is a collection of random arguments and precursor thoughts that eventually led to development of the core fundamentals of cognition and the Betweenness model. After we finish this segment, we'll move to the formal argument segments about the core fundamentals of cognition and about the Betweenness model. In this episode, we're going to have two quick entries. The first one is titled No Quitting, and it's related to science. The second one is called Keep Believing, and it's related to philosophy. We touched on these two issues in the introduction, so consider looking that up. So if you read science, and specifically relativity and quantum mechanics, you'll come across a few concepts that are very interesting. One of them is time swelling, and physics has you believe that time undergoes a phenomenon of swelling, not unsimilar to this limb being swollen compared to a normal limb. And you'll come across prominent physicists using terms that are far from scientific, such as this one. Einstein used the word spooky when he coined the phrase spooky action at a distance. You'll also learn about matter coming from nowhere and going to who knows where, disappearing into who knows where. And these phenomena often elicit a sense of weirdness, and that's what I felt, and perhaps that's what most people feel when they try to understand it. And the reason that I brought this up is, why does it feel weird? I concluded that it feels weird because we don't really understand it that well. And that leads us to the question of why we don't understand it that well. Probably because we lack a capacity or two. We're not wired in a way that makes these things comprehensible intuitively. And this is a precursor concept. It's unrefined. This later on and other precursor ideas crystallized into the core fundamentals of cognition that I introduced in the introduction. Let's not get too caught up with the weird sensation or seeing something as being weird. And let's take it a little step further. And what it really points to, in my opinion, is that there are limitations. Now, that begs a question. What's the nature of this limitation? How did this limitation come about? What limits us? And these are sort of precursor concepts that crystallized later on into the two core fundamentals of cognition that were introduced in the introduction. Now we move on to the next topic, which is titled Keep Believing, and it's related to philosophy. Basically, if you or anyone reads philosophy in depth, there's a good chance that it might shake its certainty and knowledge. And we can project that a little bit further and say if you become a philosopher, it's very likely that it would make you certain of the impossibility of knowledge. Don't take my word for it. We can take this quote from Socrates, where he basically said the only true wisdom is in knowing you know nothing. Again, let's try to connect it to the prior topic. There is a limitation. This points to a limitation in our inability to become or be certain in knowing stuff. What's the nature of this limitation? Where does it come from? And this sort of attempt at understanding why we're limited is a precursor to what later on crystallized into the two core fundamentals of cognition. And that's the connection between these two talks. Although the first one talks about science, and the second one talks about philosophy, the common thread between them is that they point to a limitation. And digging into the nature of this limitation and where it came from gave birth to the two core fundamentals of cognition. This concludes our talk. Thank you for watching. If you found this interesting, please join us on other talks. And if you think this is valuable, please share with others. Bye-bye. See you later.